Dr. Hyunwoo remembered the day everything changed. It was 50 years ago when the first alien scout ship had crashed in the Siberian wilderness. The world's governments had worked together to keep it secret while their best scientists studied the wreckage. Hyunwoo had been young then, fresh out of university, but his mentor Dr. Minho had seen something special in him. "Look at this power source," Minho had said, pointing to a strange crystal that still glowed with inner light even, though the ship was dead. "It's not just energy storage, it's a complete power generation system the size of a coffee cup, if we can understand how it works." Now, 5 decades later, Hyunwoo stood in the secret research facility built into the Antarctic ice. The power crystals they had learned to make were 100 times more efficient than the alien originals. Human creativity had taken alien science and made it into something the galaxy had never seen. "Sir, we're getting the activation signal," said his assistant, Dr. Soo-jin. She had been born in this facility, raised by parents who were part of the secret project. Her whole life had been building toward this moment. Hyunwoo nodded and placed his hand on the master control. "All stations, this is Antarctic Base. Shadow Protocol is now active. Begin power-up sequence." Around the world, hidden facilities began to wake up. In the depths of the Mariana Trench, engineer So-young watched as the underwater shipyard came to life. The massive construction bay had been built in complete secrecy, using mining equipment that officially was looking for rare minerals. Instead, it had been building humanity's secret weapon. The ships that emerged from their hiding places looked nothing like the massive council vessels hanging over Earth's cities. They were sleek and fast, their hulls made from materials that human scientists had developed by studying the crashed alien ship. But more importantly, they were smart. Each ship had an artificial intelligence that could learn and adapt in real time. "Beautiful, aren't they?" So-young said to her team as the first squadron of Earth ships powered up their engines. "The Council thinks bigger is better. They're about to learn that smarter is better." On the far side of the moon, Commander Jae-sung stood in the observation deck of the hidden lunar base. For 30 years, this facility had been disguised as a mining operation. Robot miners had dug deep into the lunar rock, but instead of extracting minerals, they had been building the largest military shipyard in the solar system. The massive doors that opened now had been carefully hidden to look like natural rock formations, but behind them lay Earth's main battle fleet. 200 ships of various sizes, each one equipped with technology that made the Council's weapons look like stone tools. "All ships, this is Lunar Command," Jae-sung announced. "You are cleared for launch. Remember, we've been planning this for 50 years. Every simulation, every training exercise has been preparing for this moment. Don't let Earth down." The pilots who climbed into their ships were the best humanity had to offer. Captain Jin-ae, commander of the heavy cruiser Soul's Pride, had been training for this mission since she was 16. Captain Woo-jin, who would lead the fast attack squadron, could pilot his ship through an asteroid field blindfolded, and Captain Yoon-ji, the ace pilot of the stealth fighter wing, had never lost a simulated battle. But the real surprise was waiting in the asteroid belt. What looked like ordinary space rocks were actually the most advanced weapons platforms humanity had ever built. Each asteroid base was hollowed out and filled with technology that could strike targets anywhere in the solar system. Captain Subin commanded the largest of these hidden bases. From the outside, it looked like just another chunk of rock drifting through space. But inside, it housed enough firepower to destroy a planet. More importantly, it contained the quantum computers that would coordinate humanity's entire battle plan. "Sir, all systems are online," reported Lieutenant Haewan from the tactical station. "The Council ships have no idea we're here." Subin smiled. "That's the point. They're so used to primitive species that they don't even scan for hidden threats. Let's keep it that way until it's time to surprise them." Back on Earth, Admiral Taemin was receiving reports from installations that officially didn't exist. The orbital defense platforms that So-young had designed were powering up. Weapons that had been disguised as communication satellites were revealing their true nature. And deep underground, the massive railgun batteries that could punch holes through alien armor were charging their capacitors. But perhaps the most important preparation was happening in the computer networks. Dr. Hyun-woo's team had spent decades studying alien technology, and they had discovered something interesting. All Council ships use the same basic computer systems, with the same basic security flaws. Human hackers had been developing viruses specifically designed to attack alien networks. "Sir, the Cyber Warfare Division reports ready," said Daewon from her communication station. "We can take control of any Council system the moment they open a communication channel." Taemin nodded. This was the part of the plan he was most proud of. The Council expected humans to fight like primitive warriors, with crude weapons and simple tactics. They had no idea that Earth's greatest weapon wasn't guns or missiles, it was intelligence. The alien Commander Vexitar appeared on Earth's communication networks again, his scaled face showing irritation. "Your preparation time is ending. We detect no signs of compliance. This is your final warning." What he didn't detect were the hundreds of human ships now moving into position throughout the solar system. The Council's sensors were designed to find large, obvious threats. They couldn't see the stealth ships that were slowly surrounding them, or the weapons platforms that had been disguised as space junk, or the fighter squadrons hiding in the shadows of Earth's moon. Engineer So Young made her final checks on the weapon system that would turn the tide of battle. It was based on a simple principle. Every energy shield had a resonance frequency. Find the right frequency, and you could make the shield tear itself apart. Human computers had calculated the resonance frequency of Council shields down to the bare last decimal point. "All stations, this is Deep Blue," she announced over the encrypted channel. "Shield disruption system is ready. One shot, and their defenses will be useless." Captain Dong Hyun, Admiral Taemin's second-in-command, was coordinating the ground-based defenses. Hidden missile silos were opening all over Earth, revealing weapons that looked primitive but were loaded with warheads designed specifically to exploit weaknesses in Council armor. "Sir, all planetary defense systems report ready," he told Taemin. "If any of their ships get past the space battle, we'll be ready for them." But Taemin wasn't planning to let it come to that. The battle plan that humanity had developed over 50 years was designed to end the threat before it could reach Earth's surface. It was bold, risky, and completely insane by military standards. In other words, it was perfectly human. As the ERV final hours ticked away, the Council ships began their final positioning. They moved slowly, confidently, like predators who had never encountered prey that could fight back. Their massive hulls bristled with weapons that could crack planets. Their shields could stop nuclear weapons, and their armies had conquered nearly 1,000 worlds. They had never fought humans before. Dr. Hyun-woo activated the quantum communication network that would coordinate humanity's response across the entire solar system. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier would move as one. The Council thought they were facing a primitive planet with crude technology. They were about to discover they had walked into the most sophisticated trap in galactic history. "Commander," Vexitar sent his final message to Earth. "Your time is up. Surrender now or watch your cities burn." Admiral Taemin's response was broadcast to every Council ship in the system. "Commander Vexitar, this is Admiral Taemin of Earth. You have threatened our world and our people. You have demanded our surrender and our freedom. We have a response for you." He paused, looking around at his staff, at the people who had dedicated their lives to this moment. "Our response is no." The 72-hour deadline passed at exactly 12 source GMT. Commander Vexitar, standing on the bridge of his massive dreadnought, watched the countdown reach 0. Below him, the primitive planet Earth continued its slow rotation, its cities still, glowing with lights. The humans had not surrendered. They had not even tried to negotiate. "Begin bombardment sequence," Vexitar ordered. "Target their major population centers first. Make them understand the price of defiance." But as his weapons officer reached for the firing controls, something impossible happened. Space around the Council fleet suddenly filled with ships that had not been there a second before. Hundreds of sleek, fast vessels materialized out of nowhere, their weapons already charging. "Sir!" the sensor operator called out in panic. "Multiple contacts, they came from nowhere." Vexitar stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The ships surrounding his fleet were small compared to Council dreadnoughts, but there were so many of them, and they were moving in perfect coordination, like a school of fish or a flock of birds. "Impossible," he hissed. "The humans have no space fleet. Our intelligence reports confirmed it." What the Council intelligence had missed was 50 years of secret preparation. On the far side of the moon, Commander Jae-sung watched as his carefully hidden fleet completed its deployment. The lunar shipyards had built these vessels in complete secrecy, using technology that made them invisible to Council sensors until the moment they chose to reveal themselves. "All ships, this is Fleet Command," Jae-sung announced. "You are weapons-free. Show them what humanity can do." The first shots came from Captain Yoon-ji's stealth fighter squadron. Her ships were so small that Council sensors barely registered them, but their weapons hit with pinpoint accuracy. Alien shield generators exploded in brilliant flashes as human technology found weaknesses that had never been exploited before. "Fox 1, Fox 2, Yoon-ji called out as her missiles streaked toward a Council cruiser. "Direct hits on the shield matrix, their defenses are down." Captain Jinhee, commanding the heavy cruiser Soul's Pride, led her squadron in a coordinated strike against the Council's flagship. Her weapons were different from anything the galaxy had ever seen. They adapted in real time to whatever defenses they encountered. "Target the command section," she ordered her weapons officer. "Let's cut off the head of this snake." The Council weapons fired back, but their massive energy beams struck nothing but empty space. The human ships were too fast, too smart, and they knew exactly where the Council weapons would fire before the aliens pulled their triggers. Engineer So Young, watching from her hidden command center in the Pacific depths, activated the weapon system she had spent 20 years perfecting. Every Council ship in the system suddenly found their shields flickering and failing as resonance waves tore through their defensive fields. "Shield disruption complete," she reported to Admiral Taemin. "All Council defenses are compromised." But the real surprise came from the asteroid belt. What the Council had dismissed as worthless space rocks suddenly revealed themselves to be massive weapons platforms. Captain Subin commanded the largest of these hidden fortresses, and her railguns could punch through armor that had protected Council ships for centuries. "All batteries fire," she commanded. "Let's see how tough their hulls really are." The kinetic projectiles that streaked across space moved at a significant fraction of light speed. Council armor, designed to stop energy weapons, might as well have been paper. Massive holes appeared in alien ships as human weapons found their targets. "Commander," Vextar felt his ship shudder as human weapons tore into its hull. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "These are primitives. They should not have this technology." His science officer, a pale creature with too many eyes, was studying the sensor readings. "Sir, they're ships. They're using our own technology, but they've improved it. The power sources alone are beyond anything in our databases." That was when the real nightmare began for the Council fleet. Dr. Hyun-woo, coordinating from his Antarctic base, activated the cyber warfare systems that humanity had developed specifically for this moment. Every Council ship that tried to open a communication channel suddenly found human viruses flooding their networks. "Sir, we're losing control of our systems," the communications officer reported in panic. "Something is taking over our computers." Vexitar watched in horror as his own weapons turned against nearby Council ships. The humans had done more than just reverse engineer alien technology. They had learned how to make it serve humanity instead. Captain Wu Jin led his fast attack squadron through the chaos of battle, his ships dancing between the massive Council vessels like gnats harassing giants. But these gnats had stingers, and every strike left another alien ship crippled or dead. "This is Lightning Strike," he reported as his squadron completed another attack run. 3 more Council cruisers down. They're starting to break formation. The Council had ruled the galaxy for over 1,000 years by being bigger, older, and more experienced than everyone they fought. But they had never fought an enemy that was smarter, faster, and more creative. Human ships worked together in ways that alien tactical computers couldn't predict or counter. Fleet Admiral Dong Hyun, commanding from the hidden base on Luna, watched as the battle unfolded exactly according to plan. "All squadrons execute Phase 2. Time to show them what happens when they threaten our world." The second wave of the attack came from Earth itself. The orbital defense platforms that engineer So Young had disguised as communication satellites revealed their true nature. Massive particle beams reached out across space, guided by targeting computers that could track individual aliens on the enemy ships. The Council's most feared weapon, the Planet Cracker Obliterator, attempted to fire on Earth in desperation. The massive beam weapon could destroy entire worlds, and it had been the Council's ultimate threat for centuries. But as the weapon charged up, So Young's mirror field technology activated around Earth. The planet killer beam struck the mirror field and reflected back at the Council fleet. 3 of their largest dreadnoughts simply vanished in the brilliant explosion that followed. "Impossible!" Vextar screamed as he watched his most powerful weapon destroy his own ships. "No species has ever developed mirror field technology." That was when he realized the truth that was now obvious to every surviving Council commander. The humans were not just another primitive species to be conquered. They were something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that could take any technology and make it better. Captain Dayun, now commanding her own destroyer, led a precision strike against the Council's command ship. Her weapons, designed specifically to target alien life support systems, began flooding the enemy vessel with gases that were harmless to humans, but deadly to Council species. "Sir, their command deck is compromised," her tactical officer reported. "Life signs are failing throughout their ship." The battle that the Council had expected to be a simple slaughter was turning into a complete rout. Human ships swarmed through the alien formation, striking with precision that left the enemy no time to respond. Every Council weapon that fired was immediately countered by human technology that shouldn't have existed. Admiral Tae Min, watching from Earth as his carefully planned trap snapped shut, felt a moment of satisfaction. The aliens had come to Earth, expecting to find helpless prey. Instead, they had found predators who had been waiting for them. "All ships begin the pursuit," he ordered. "Don't let any of them escape to warn the rest of the Council. It's time to take this fight to them." The surviving Council ships, their formations shattered and their weapons useless, began to retreat. But Admiral Tae Min had planned for this, too. Captain Subin's asteroid fortresses launched clouds of small, fast interceptor drones that could track fleeing ships across interstellar space. Commander Vextar, his ship dying around him, sent a desperate message to the Council homeworlds. "The humans, they're not what we thought. They're not primitive. They're—" His message was cut off as Captain Yoonji's fighters delivered their final strike. The Council flagship exploded in a brilliant flash that could be seen from Earth's surface. The first battle was over. Earth had won. But as Admiral Tae Min looked at the wreckage of the Council fleet, he knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn that when humanity fought, they didn't fight just to survive. They fought to win. 3 Council ships had escaped the battle at Earth. Admiral Tae Min watched them disappear into hyperspace on his tactical display, their faster-than-light drives carrying them toward the core worlds of the Galactic Council. He could have stopped them. Captain Subin's asteroid bases had weapons that could reach across star systems, but he chose to let them go. "Sir, should we pursue?" asked Captain Dong Hyun from the communication station. Tae Min smiled coldly. "No. Let them run. Let them tell their masters what they saw here. Fear is a weapon too." But he had no intention of waiting for the Council to send reinforcements. Commander Jae Sung was already preparing the next phase of humanity's plan. The Baijar secret shipyards had been building more than just defensive fleets. They had also created ships designed for one purpose: to take the war to the enemy. Captain Wu Jin commanded the fastest ship in the human fleet, an experimental vessel called Lightning Strike. Its engines could push it through hyperspace faster than anything the Council had ever built. More importantly, its computers contained complete maps of Council space, downloaded from the captured alien databases. "All ships, this is Admiral Tae Min," came the order that would change galactic history. "Operation Lightning begins now. Take the war to them." Wu Jin activated his ship's special drive system. Unlike the massive, slow Council ships that needed hours to enter hyperspace, Lightning Strike could make the jump in seconds. One moment it was orbiting Earth. The next, it was racing through the dimensions between stars. The Council's retreat should have taken them to safety. But Dr. Hyunwoo's team had cracked more than just their communication codes. They had also broken the navigation systems that guided Council ships through hyperspace. Human computers could predict exactly where the fleeing aliens would emerge. From their jump, Captain Da-un, now commanding a small fleet of pursuit ships, was waiting when the Council vessels dropped back into normal space near the Proxima system. The aliens had expected to find safety and a chance to call for help. Instead, they found human weapons already targeting their engines. "This is Captain Da-un of the Earth Defense Force," she broadcast to the Council ships. "Surrender your vessels or be destroyed." The Council commander, a being called General Krexmore, responded with typical alien arrogance. "Impossible. No primitive species could have followed us through hyperspace." His answer came in the form of precise missile strikes that disabled his ship's weapons and engines without destroying them completely. Da-un wanted prisoners, not corpses. The information in Council databases would be useful for what came next. "Boarding parties away," she ordered. "Take those ships intact. I want everything. Star charts, military codes, troop positions, everything." While Da-un's forces captured the fleeing Council ships, other human squadrons were already moving deeper into alien space. Captain Yoon-ji led her stealth fighters on raids against Council outposts, her invisible ship striking without warning before disappearing back into the darkness between stars. The first target was Nexus Station, the Yaoi, Council's main communication hub for the outer systems. Captain Subin had calculated that if they could take out Nexus Station, it would be hours before the Council's core worlds even knew they were under attack. Yoon-ji's fighters approached the station from the system's outer asteroid belt, their stealth systems making them invisible to Council sensors. The station was massive, built into a captured asteroid and protected by defensive platforms that could destroy entire fleets. But the station's defenses were designed to stop frontal attacks from large ships. They were not designed to stop small, fast fighters that could slip between the defensive grids like shadows. "Target the main communication array," Yoon-ji ordered her squadron. "One shot, one kill." Her weapons were not the massive energy cannons that Council ships carried. They were small, precise instruments that could find the exact weak point in any target. The communication array that controlled Council messaging for a dozen star systems was destroyed by a single missile the size of a baseball. But destroying the station was not enough. Engineer So Young had developed a special surprise for Council: computer networks. The virus that Yoon-ji's fighters uploaded to Nexus Station would spread through the Council's entire communication grid, giving humans access to every military database in the galaxy. "Package delivered," Yoon-ji reported as her fighters vanished back into hyperspace. The Council just lost their ability to coordinate their forces. Meanwhile, Captain Jin-A was leading a larger force against the Council's military depot at the Rigel system. The depot contained enough weapons and supplies to equip 100 fleets, and it was defended by the Council's most experienced commanders. What they were not expecting was a human tactic that no galactic species had ever used before: psychological warfare. Jin-A's fleet approached Rigel openly, making no attempt to hide their presence. The Council defenders, confident in their superior numbers and firepower, prepared for a traditional space battle. Instead, they received a communication that changed everything. "This is Captain Jin-A of Earth," she broadcast on all frequencies. "We have a message for the species enslaved by the Council. We are here to free you. Any ship that surrenders to us will be given safe passage to freedom. Any ship that fights for the Council will be destroyed." The effect was immediate. The Rigel depot was defended not just by Council species, but by ships crewed by dozens of enslaved races who had been forced to serve their conquerors. For the first time in centuries, they were being offered a choice. The first to switch sides was Captain Villana of the Centauri Defense Corps, whose people had been enslaved for over 200 years. She turned her ship's weapons against the Council command vessel and broadcast her own message to the depot's defenders. "Brothers and sisters of all enslaved worlds, the humans offer us what the Council never did: freedom. Join them." The battle at Rigel turned into a revolution. Ship after ship switched sides as enslaved crews turned against their council overseers. Within hours, the depot was under human control, and Jin'e found herself commanding not just her own fleet, but a growing rebellion of freed species. Commander Jae Sung, coordinating the campaign from his lunar base, watched as reports came in from across council space. Every human attack was sparking uprisings among the enslaved species. The council's empire, built on fear and oppression, was crumbling from within. "Sir, we're getting surrender offers from 17 star systems," reported his communications officer. "The council's outer territories are falling faster than we can advance, but the real prize was still ahead." Deep in council space lay their home system, heavily defended and containing the leadership that had oppressed the galaxy for over a millennium. Admiral Timon knew that the war would not be won until the council's government was destroyed completely. The problem was getting there. The council had begun to react to humanity's lightning campaign. Their reserve fleets were moving to defend the core worlds, and their most powerful weapons were being prepared for a final battle. That was when Dr. Hyunwoo revealed the last secret that humanity had kept hidden. The quantum communication network that coordinated human forces could do more than just send messages. It could also open temporary gateways through space itself. "Sir, the gateway system is ready," Hyunwoo reported from his Antarctic base. "We can transport the entire fleet directly to the Council home system, bypassing all their defenses." Fleet Admiral Dong Hyun, now commanding humanity's growing armada, gave the order that would end the Council's reign of terror. "All ships prepare for final assault. Target, the Council homeworlds. Mission, total victory." The gateway that opened in space near Earth was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was not the slow, massive hyperspace portals that Council ships used. It was a direct tear in reality itself, allowing instant travel across thousands of light years. Through that gateway poured the combined forces of humanity and their new allies. Ships from dozens of formerly enslaved species flew alongside human vessels, all united in their determination to end the Council's tyranny. Captain Wu Jin, his ship Lightning Strike leading the advance force, emerged from the gateway in orbit around the Council's capital world. Below him lay the seat of galactic power, defended by the most advanced weapons and strongest shields the Council possessed. "Sir, enemy fleet approaching," his sensor officer reported. It's bigger than anything we've ever seen." The Council's Supreme Admiral Zorthek had assembled every ship, every weapon, every soldier the Council could muster. His fleet stretched across space like a metal ocean, bristling with weapons that could destroy stars. But as the human fleet emerged from their impossible gateway, Zorthek felt something he had never experienced before in 1,000 years of conquest. For the first time in his life, he was afraid. The final battle for the galaxy was about to begin. The Council home system had never seen an enemy fleet before. For over 1,000 years, it had been the center of galactic power, protected by defenses that could stop entire armadas. Massive orbital platforms bristled with weapons that could crack planets. Shield generators the size of moons created barriers that had never been breached. Supreme Admiral Zorthok stood on the bridge of his flagship, the massive dreadnought Dominion of Stars, watching as the human fleet emerged from their impossible gateway. He had assembled every ship the Council possessed, over 3,000 vessels representing the military might of 847 conquered species. "Analysis of enemy fleet?" he demanded from his tactical officer. "Sir, approximately 400 ships. Most are small compared to our vessels. They should not present a significant threat." But Zorthek had heard the reports from the survivors of Earth's first battle. These humans fought unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were not content to simply defend themselves. They came to win, and they brought weapons that turned the Council's own technology against them. "All ships maximum alert," he ordered. "Deploy the planet killer array. If we cannot defeat them conventionally, we will destroy their home world while they watch." High Chancellor Omnarch Veltorin, the supreme ruler of the Galactic Council, watched the battle preparations from his fortress palace on the capital world below. He had ruled for over 3 centuries, and in all that time, no enemy had ever reached the home system. "My lord," his aide reported, The human fleet is requesting communication. Velteran's scaled lips curved in a cold smile. Let them speak. Let them beg for mercy before we crush them. The image that appeared on the Council's communication screens was not what they expected. Admiral Taemin stood calmly on the bridge of his flagship, Terra Invicta, showing no fear despite being outnumbered 7-1. I am Admiral Taemin of the Earth Defense Force, he said simply. I am here to accept your surrender. The words caused shocked silence throughout the Council. Fleet. Velteran's aide looked confused. Sir, did he say he wants to accept our surrender? Impossible human arrogance, Velteran hissed. Show them the power of the Council. But before the Council could fire their weapons, Captain Da-Un's voice came over every communication channel in the system. Her message was not directed at the Council leadership. It was aimed at the crews of the enslaved species who made up most of the Council's fleet. People of the galaxy, she broadcast, you have served your conquerors for generations. Your children have never known freedom. Your worlds have been stripped of resources to feed Council greed. Today that ends. Any ship that stands down will be welcomed as allies. Any ship that fights for the Council will face the judgment they deserve. The effect was immediate and devastating to Council morale. Throughout their fleet, ship after ship began to power down weapons as enslaved crews refused to fight for their oppressors. The Vegan Confederacy ships enslaved for 400 years were the first to switch sides. The Altarian Defense Corps followed within minutes. Sir, we're losing ships, Zorthak's communications officer reported in panic. 30% of the fleet has stood down, but worse was coming. Engineer So Young, coordinating from her hidden base in Earth's oceans, activated the weapon system that would end the Council's technological advantage forever. Every Council ship in the system suddenly found their computers infected with viruses that turned their own systems against them. What is happening? Veltorin demanded as reports flooded in from across the system. Sir, our ships, they're attacking each other. Something has taken control of our weapons. Dr. Hyunwoo's Cyber Warfare Division had spent 50 years preparing for this moment. Every Council computer system, every navigation program, every weapons control had the same basic flaws. Human viruses exploited those flaws to turn the Council's own fleet into weapons against itself. Captain Yoonji led her stealth fighters through the chaos of the Council's collapsing formation. Her mission was specific: capture or destroy the planet killer weapons before they could be used against Earth. Ghost Squadron, this is Ghost Leader, she called to her pilots. Target the planet killer array. Those weapons die today. The planet killers were the Council's ultimate weapons. Massive ships designed to destroy entire worlds. They had been used to crush rebellion for centuries by threatening to annihilate any planet that resisted. But their size made them slow, and their crews were mostly enslaved species who had no love for their Council masters. Yoonji's fighters, invisible to Council sensors, approached the planet killer obliterator undetected. Her weapons were not designed to destroy the massive ship. Instead, they targeted the life support systems that kept the Council crew alive while leaving the enslaved workers unharmed. Life support compromised on the command deck, she reported as her precision strikes found their targets. Council crew is down. Enslaved crew is taking control of the ship. Captain Jin A, commanding the heavy assault squadron, led the main attack against the Council's defensive platforms. These massive structures had protected the home system for centuries, their shields and weapons upgraded constantly to meet any possible threat. They had never faced weapons that could adapt in real time to whatever defenses they encountered. Target the shield generators, Ginny ordered her weapons officer. Show them what human engineering can do. Her ship's main guns fired streams of energy that changed frequency and intensity as they traveled through space. The Council's shields, designed to stop conventional energy weapons, simply could not adapt fast enough. Defensive platforms that had stood for centuries began to explode in brilliant flashes. But the real shock came when the Council tried to use their most advanced weapons against the human fleet. Fleet Admiral Dong Hyun, commanding from the bridge of the battleship New Seoul, watched as Council energy beams struck his ships and simply bounced off. Engineer So Young's mirror field technology, scaled up to protect entire fleets, turned the Council's own weapons against them. Every shot they fired at human ships was reflected back with doubled power. Impossible, Zorthak screamed as his own weapons destroyed his flagship's sister ship. How can they reflect pure energy? Captain Wu Jin, his experimental ship Lightning, strike dancing through the battle like a hummingbird among eagles, provided the answer by demonstration. His ship's weapons fired not energy or projectiles, but pure gravity waves that crushed Council ships from within. "This is Lightning Strike," he reported as another Council dreadnought collapsed under impossible gravitational forces. "Their armor is useless against weapons they can't understand." The battle that was supposed to be the Council's final stand was turning into their complete destruction. Supreme Admiral Zorthak, watching his fleet tear itself apart under human control, made a desperate decision. All remaining ships ramming speed. If we cannot win with weapons, we will win with sacrifice. But even this desperate tactic failed. Captain Subin's asteroid fortresses, brought through the same gateway that had delivered the human fleet, began launching clouds of interceptor drones. The small, fast machines could track and destroy even suicide attacks before they reached their targets. High Chancellor Veltorin, watching his empire collapse from his palace, felt something he had never experienced in 3 centuries of rule: fear for his own life. The humans had not just defeated his military forces, they had turned his own people against him. "My lord," his aide reported, "the planetary defense forces are refusing orders. The enslaved populations are rising in revolt across the capital world." That was when Admiral Tae Min's final message reached the Council leadership. "High Chancellor." "Felteran," his voice echoed through the palace's communication system, "your fleet is destroyed. Your weapons are useless. Your empire is in revolt. I am offering you one chance to surrender and face justice for your crimes." Veltorin's response was pure Council arrogance. "Never. The Council has ruled for 1,000 years. We will not bow to primitives." Admiral Tae Min's reply was calm and final. "Then you will fall with your empire." The siege of the Council's capital world lasted only 6 hours. Human forces, supported by revolting enslaved populations and defecting Council ships, overwhelmed the planet's defenses through sheer coordination and superior tactics. Captain Daun led the assault force that stormed Veltorin's palace. The High Chancellor, surrounded by the bodies of his loyal guards, faced the human captain with the same arrogance he had shown for centuries. "You think you have won, primitive?" he hissed. "The Council will return. Order will be restored." Daun looked at the alien dictator who had caused suffering across the galaxy for generations. "No, the Council is finished. What comes next will be built on freedom, not fear." Velteron's last words were lost in the sound of his palace collapsing, as human weapons brought down the symbol of galactic tyranny. 6 months later, Admiral Tae Min stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, the new capital of what was, now called the Galactic Federation. Through the massive windows, he could see ships of dozens of species working together to build a better future. Captain Yoon-ji now commanded a mixed squadron of human and alien pilots. Dr. Hyun-woo led the Federation's research division, sharing human technology freely with all member species. Captain Park Hyun stared at the screens in front of him. His hands gripped the sides of his chair as red warning lights flashed across the command center. The orbital defense station shook slightly as his crew ran to their positions. "Sir, we have massive energy readings coming from Sector 7, said Lieutenant Kim So-ra from her station. Her voice was steady, but Park Hyun could hear the fear underneath. "How massive?" Park Hyun asked, already knowing he would not like the answer. "Bigger than anything we have ever seen. The computer says it's impossible, but the readings are real." Park Hyun looked at the main screen. Space itself seemed to be tearing open like fabric. Bright lights poured out from the tear, and then the ships came through. They were huge. The smallest one was 3 times bigger than Earth's largest battleship. The biggest one looked like a floating city made of metal and weapons. There were dozens of them, all moving in perfect formation toward Earth. "Get me Admiral Kang Bo-ra immediately," Park Hyun ordered. His hands were steady now. Fear had turned into focus. This was what they had trained for, even if they had hoped this day would never come. Down on Earth, Admiral Kang Bo-Ra was already in the war room deep beneath Seoul. She had been watching the same readings on her screens for the past 10 minutes. Around her, dozens of officers worked at their stations, talking quickly into their headsets and typing commands into their computers. "All defense platforms are reporting ready," said Colonel Lee Tae-ho from across the room. "Earth's orbital weapons are online and waiting for orders." Admiral Kang Bo-Ra nodded. She had spent her entire life preparing for this moment. Every human in the military had trained for the day when something would come from the stars to hurt them. Today was that day. "Dr. Lee Tae-min, what can you tell me about those ships?" she asked the scientist who stood beside her. Dr. Lee Tae-min pushed his glasses up his nose and looked at his tablet. His team had been studying the alien ships since they appeared. "The energy readings are incredible. Their technology is far beyond ours. These ships could destroy our entire fleet without taking damage." "Could destroy or will destroy?" Admiral Kang Bo-Ra asked. "That depends on what we do next," Dr. Lee Tae-min replied. High above Earth, the alien fleet stopped moving. The biggest ship moved to the front of the formation. Captain Park Hyun watched as a beam of light shot out from the ship toward Earth. "Incoming transmission," reported Lieutenant Kim So-ra. "They want to talk." "Put it on the main screen," Park Hyun ordered. The screen filled with the image of something that was clearly not human. The creature had 4 arms, skin that looked like metal, and eyes that glowed red. When it spoke, the words came through in perfect English. "I am War Commander Thexara of the Velkari Empire. Your world has been chosen for integration into our empire. You have one of your hours to surrender completely. Lay down your weapons. Prepare your leaders for transport. Resistance will result in the destruction of your civilization." The transmission ended. The command center was quiet for a moment. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked Lieutenant Kim So-ra. Park Hyun looked around at his crew. These were good people who had families down on Earth. They had signed up to protect their world, and now they had the chance to do exactly that. "Send a message back," Park Hyun said. "Tell them we decline their kind offer." Lieutenant Kim So-ra smiled as she typed the message. The reply was short and simple. "No, thank you." On the alien flagship, War Commander Thexara read the human response. He had done this same thing on hundreds of worlds. Usually the local species surrendered immediately when they saw his fleet. Sometimes they tried to negotiate. None had ever simply said no. "Sub-Commander Velik, scan their defenses again," Thexara ordered. "Perhaps we missed something." Sub-Commander Velik looked at his readings and shook his head. "The scans show primitive technology, crude nuclear weapons, simple energy shields, nothing that could threaten our ships." Then why did they refuse? Thexara wondered. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen such confidence from a weaker species. The answer came soon enough. Captain Park Hyun pressed a single button on his command panel. Across the solar system, things that had been hidden began to wake up. The asteroid mining station near Mars dropped its disguise. What looked like a simple rock processing plant revealed itself to be a massive weapons platform. Giant guns unfolded from the asteroid's surface. The cargo ships moving between Earth and Jupiter changed course. Their hulls opened up to show missile launchers and energy cannons. What had looked like innocent transport vessels were actually warships in disguise. Near Earth's moon, Captain Choi Jin sat in the command center of what everyone thought was a research station. He smiled as his screens came alive with target information. His research station was actually the control center for the most powerful weapon system humans had ever built. "All stations report ready," Captain Choi Jin said into his radio. "Defense grid is online." Admiral Kang Bo-Ra watched her screens as red dots appeared all over the solar system. Each dot was a weapons platform that had been built and hidden over the past 50 years. Humanity had been preparing for this day since they first looked at the stars and wondered what else might be out there. "Dr. Lee Tae-min, begin the analysis," Admiral Kang Bo-Ra ordered. "I want to know everything about their technology in the next 30 minutes. Dr. Lee Tae-min nodded and ran to his laboratory. He had teams of scientists ready to study every piece of information they could get about the alien ships. But they would not just study the technology. They would find ways to use it against its creators. War Commander Thexera was beginning to feel something he had not felt in centuries. Uncertainty. His sensors were picking up energy readings from all over the human solar system. Weapons were appearing where his scans had shown nothing before. How is this possible? He asked Sub-Commander Velik. Our technology is superior. Our scans should have detected these weapons. Perhaps their technology is not as primitive as we thought, Sub-Commander Velik replied quietly. On the defense station, Captain Park Hyun opened a communication channel to all human ships and stations. This is Captain Park Hyun to all defense units. Today we show the galaxy that Earth is not an easy target. Today we show them what humans do when someone threatens our home. The response came back from hundreds of voices across the solar system. Ready to fight, sir. Captain Park Hyun looked at the alien fleet on his screen. They were powerful and they were many, but they had made one big mistake. They had threatened humanity's home, and humans would do anything to protect their home. All units, you are free to engage, Captain Park Hyun ordered. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and the aliens were about to learn that humans had been planning for this fight for a very long time.